What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 15 of the Ohio Sports Radio Show. Jared and Ian back again, ready to talk some Ohio sports with you guys. Rough weekend for me. If you can't tell, I'm still recovering from it. Ian, sir, how was your weekend?
Not as bad as yours, bud, but wasn't too great, wasn't too bad.
Yeah, very rough. We'll get into that later. But thank you guys for checking us out again. Glad to be back for this week's episode. As always, we start out with the best and worst of this past weekend. So, Ian, sir, what was your best and worst of this past weekend?
For my best, in a year that has been just seen so many poor officials in college and professional football, last night's national championship game, I thought that crew did a phenomenal job as far as, especially for a national championship being in the prime time. They did an excellent job, that crew. I believe they were out of the Pac-12. I'm not for sure, but they did a fantastic job. So kudos to them. My worst of this week, Saturday night in that Bengals-Steelers game. I'm not saying this because I'm a Browns fan. I would say this about any fan base that decides they want to do this, but just some of the fans at the Bengals game. Classless act, throwing stuff at Roethlisberger while he's on the cart. Just really poor decisions by the fans. That puts a black eye on the entire city. Cleveland's got the Bottlegate thing from years back, and I mean, that was a black eye. You know, people laugh about it, but it was a real black eye. But something different this week. I've got a best and worst sandwich, so I'm coming back around with another best. For those of you that view us, we have a big announcement. Mr. Jared Hale got engaged this weekend, and last week he threw me a little Seinfeld reference with George Costanza. So this week I'm coming back at him with a little reference from The Office.
Oh, boy.
Mr. Andy Bernard talking about Jim Halpert's off the market. Andy Bernard just became the best-looking single man in The Office. Jared Hale just went off the market, ladies. Ian Harold's the best-looking single man on Ohio Sports Radio.
I think you were already that, but I appreciate that. Yeah, so that was one of my best of the weekend, obviously. I asked my best friend and love of my life if she will marry me. Nervous as could be, sweating, just trembling. I think I blacked out when I asked her. I don't really remember. Thankfully, she said yes. I definitely outkicked my coverage with her, so definitely thankful for her and for that. The second best thing of the weekend, I got two of them. Little Miss Leah Still, Devin Still, former defensive tackle of the Bengals. His daughter was found cancer-free. That is just awesome. No little kid, person, I mean, for that matter, but no little kid especially should have to go through cancer. So very, very happy for Devin Still. And he got signed with the Texans. Huge for him and his family, and for that little girl. She was definitely a symbol of hope for the Bengals and for everyone else around the NFL there for a while. So very happy for them, and congratulations to them. That was tough times for them. But Ian, sir, thank you for the well wishes with the engagement. I appreciate it. My worst of the weekend, I think everybody knows, Saturday night. Just a roller coaster of emotions for me this past weekend. Best day of my life on Friday when I asked my now fiance to marry me. Worst day of my life on Saturday when my Cincinnati Bengals ripped my heart out, put it back in, revived me, and then ripped it out again and threw it in a blender. Just the worst loss I've ever seen of any of my sports teams that I root for. When I decided to create this website, and we set the tagline as writing about all the teams that make us drink, my God, is that the most true statement ever after that Bengals game. Just heartbreaking, awful loss, but that was my worst of the week. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, so don't you guys worry. But thank you, Ian, for your best and worst of the week, and I do appreciate the well wishes with the engagement, like I said. Next up, we have our Cincinnati Reds. Not much on the Reds front. We do have a Reds question, but one big piece of news that hit yesterday with the Reds, reportedly, it's not confirmed yet, but reported by ESPN and multiple, Ken Rosenthal from CBS Sports, but multiple news outlets have reported that the Reds have signed Cuban shortstop, 22-year-old Alfredo Rodriguez from Cuba, obviously. He played there the past couple seasons. Reported deal was for $6 million. I looked into it. He batted .265 last season and won a Gold Glove in 2014 and 15 in Cuba. So pretty big news for the Reds. I mean, pretty cheap signing, and if you can get a Gold Glove caliber player there and fill the middle of the infield, that's pretty big news. E.
Yeah, I agree. Don't know what the career path is going to be for him right now. I imagine probably going to spend some time in probably AA, start him out in AA, move him up to AAA. I think that just kind of solidifies that Jose Peraza is going to be kept at the second base position instead of being moved over to short. But yeah, anytime you can get a international free agent, they're usually pretty high regarded, and I know the Reds wanted to make a splash in that international market.
What does that say about Cozart? I know he's probably going to be the opening day starter, maybe. But what does it say about him? They're bringing in they're pretty deep at shortstop now.
They are deep. I think they're putting him on notice, and they're kind of putting him on the hot seat. If you remember back, Cozart started off 2015. Started off pretty hot. He had one of his better starts of his career offensively. We've always known what he's able to do with his glove, but he's never really been able to produce much at the plate. And I think he was .269 with his batting average and was like 9 home runs when he went out with the season-ending injury. So I think it kind of puts him on a short leash, short at least. I don't think they would make this guy a call-up right away, but like you said, they're deep at the shortstop position in that farm system and on the big league club, really.
Yeah. We do have a Reds question from Matt Del Pasta. Matt wants to know, with spring training coming up soon, what are our thoughts on the Reds? Do we think they'll be able to compete this year? What are your thoughts, E?
The way the roster looks right now, I think I guess define compete. I mean, I don't want to see this. I don't think this team's really going to go out there and contend for the division. They're obviously in a rebuilding mode, and hopefully they're a full-fledged rebuild. You look at the possible opening day lineup. You got Mesoraco at catcher, Votto over at first, Phillips at second, Cozart at short. Probably going to be Suarez at third since Frazier departed. You got Billy out in center. Left field's going to be a little interesting. I think they're going to end up doing a platoon situation with Scott Schebler that they got from the Dodgers in that deal where they shipped Frazier over to Chicago. I think it's going to be a platoon situation with him and Yorman Rodriguez, who's out of options in the minors. And then right field, you still got Jay Bruce on the team, which I think they end up moving him sometime this spring before the season starts. I think they're just still waiting to see what a lot of free agents do as far as other teams go. I mean, there's still a lot of decent name free agents out there that's waiting to sign, and I think before teams do that, or I think before teams are sold on Bruce, they kind of want to see where these other free agents fall. So if Bruce ends up being traded elsewhere, I think you're going to end up seeing possibly Jake Cave in right field, the guy they got in the Rule 5 draft from the Yankee system. Decent young guy. They compare him a lot to Brett Gardner. Was probably going to play for the Yankees this year in the event the Yankees traded Gardner. So we'll see what's going on. I don't think they'll compete. I don't think they'll contend. But there's a lot to look forward to, especially with a lot of these young guys. Opening day starter, I think they got to go with Desclafani. He had a pretty good season last year. I'd be shocked if it's not Desclafani or Raisel Iglesias. I'd be shocked if they go outside of those two. But, a lot of young players, a lot of good young ball players. This season is to get these guys more at bats, get these young guys playing, get them in the groove of major league. Get them some time at the major league level. So we'll see what's going on. I don't think they'll compete. I don't think they'll contend. You're probably looking at a fourth or fifth place finish in the NL Central, especially with how these other teams have retooled.
Yeah, I agree. Last year, the Reds were, I think, 64-98, right? Last place in the Central. I think we're going to be worse this year. I think we'll probably be 10 games worse, in my opinion. But this team is not built to succeed this year. We're in full rebuild mode, guys. It's good. We've said it all along. This is what they need to do. They missed their boat. They're old. They backed themselves into a corner financially. Hopefully a few more players can get dealt, but, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But hopefully sometime in the middle of the season, for the trade deadline. They'll be able to deal some players away and continue the rebuild mode and get prospects and picks, and let's just build through the farm system and go that route. I mean, I think that's what the Reds need to do. You said that all along. I've always pointed toward the Houston Astros. They're a perfect example of it. But I think we're another last place Central. I do believe tickets will be cheap and we'll be able to go down to games really inexpensively. So hopefully we'll get to see some good young talent, get them in up to the show and let us see what they can do. But I just don't think they're going to be good. I think they're probably going to be 10 games worse than they were last year, in my opinion. But Matt, sir, thank you for the question. Like I said, not much more on the Reds. We'll keep you guys updated anytime we hear something new. But we do appreciate the question, Matt. On to your Browns, E. Not much to talk about with them. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs, so they weren't playing this past weekend. Big news, though. It looks like they may have found their guy. They've kind of honed in on Hue Jackson, offensive coordinator of my Cincinnati Bengals. Looks like he may be your guys' next head coach. He does have an interview with the New York Giants, but I don't think they're really leaning toward Hue. Hue Jackson, rumor has it, if he goes to Cleveland, Sashi Brown will give up control to him for the 53-man roster. I don't know. A lot of Bengals fans are torn. I'm torn on it. Like I said, I hope he goes somewhere where he can succeed and they give him time to succeed because he is a good coach. I just don't think he'll get that in Cleveland. E, what are your thoughts on Hue Jackson as the possible next head coach of your Cleveland Browns?
I think I said last week I would like the opportunity to bring Hue Jackson in, but only if this ownership group and front office is willing to give him time, because you look at that roster and that roster is broken. There's several holes. We need to get younger at several positions, and we still need to figure out what we're going to do at quarterback moving forward. To touch on something you said, it did come out, I believe yesterday, Ian Rappaport tweeted that one thing that Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, has promised Hue Jackson is he'd have significant personnel control if he was hired. Not a lot of other teams are willing to give up that kind of control to a possible head coach or a head coaching candidate. And what that does mean right off the bat is Sashi Brown, who was promoted after the final game of the season, would be relinquishing control of the 53-man roster, which he was promised full control of. So hasn't kind of reneging on that deal already. But if they give Hue the time to succeed, I think he can. He wasn't given his due in Oakland. He went 8-8 with a terrible team, and I think this says a lot about his coaching. I mean, he went 8-8, I think you said last week, with Terrell Pryor as his quarterback. So I think Hue Jackson is a good candidate. I wouldn't mind seeing that hire. I guess we just got to wait it out and see where the chips fall. I know San Francisco's in on him, but I think what Haslam's offering him as far as personnel control, I think that's a big determining factor in Hue Jackson's decision.
Definitely. I think Hue will be a good fit for you guys. He's a damn good coach, players coach. All the guys seem to like him. I don't think he did himself any favors in that playoff game this past weekend, but I do think he's a good coach, and I think he'd be good for the Browns if they give him the time to be successful, which in the past they have not done. But I don't know. Give Hue a decent system there, and I think he can do an all right job. He's a pretty good coach. So, one real quick, I wanted to ask you with your guys' pick. You guys are locked in at the 2 pick, right?
That's correct.
Have you decided on a pick for the 2 pick? I did a couple poll questions on our Twitter at Ohio Sports Radio on Twitter. Did a couple poll questions, asked some of the Browns fans that follow us who they wanted to draft, and it was leaning pretty heavy toward quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being Paxton Lynch with that 2 pick. I don't see any other way around it. I don't see how you trade out of that pick, especially since more and more each day it's probably going to be we're talking about is Manziel's last day on the team. Moving forward, you can't have Josh McCown as the full-time quarterback. He's getting old. He showed this year that he's brittle, so you got to have another option there, especially with a new coach. The way things have gone in Cleveland, they always bring in a new quarterback. I think they end up drafting Paxton Lynch with that number 2 pick out of Memphis, and see what he's got. So, but like you mentioned last week, I think the best thing they could do is what they did with Carson Palmer in Cincinnati with John Kitna. You don't let Paxton Lynch see the field the first year. He stands on the sidelines, he holds a clipboard, has a microphone headset on, and he learns. If McCown goes down with injury, the third string comes in, or the second string. So Paxton Lynch would be the third string quarterback, but you don't let him get anywhere near the field the first season. You make sure he learns the game, and I think McCown's a good mentor. Manziel played well; he just couldn't keep his stuff together off the field. So I think they definitely take Lynch with the 2 pick, and I hope they don't play him the first season.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things. I think Paxton Lynch is kind of a lock for you guys there. The only thing that'll change that is if he has a bad pro day. He did have a bad bowl game. He was pretty terrible in that game. I've seen a lot of mock drafts and a lot of the ones that I trust. They got Jared Goff jumping up to that 2 spot, going to the Browns, quarterback of University of California. Getting a lot of comparisons to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers went to Cal. So I don't know. I think if you guys can get a good, young, solid quarterback there, whoever it may be, Lynch, Cook, if you get the kid from North Dakota State who is getting tons of looks right now, he's not going to go that high. But, if you get a quarterback, do exactly what I said last week. Let him sit let him sit with the clipboard, let him learn the game, let them get reps in practice, but they're not going to touch the field the first season. I think that's the smartest thing you could do. Build around them. Also, the Browns ownership, fans have to be patient with him. I feel like a lot of the times he's a rookie. He's not going to come in and be immaculate the first time he comes out on the field. He's going to stink. He's going to throw picks. It's just the way, that's the learning curve in the NFL. You just got to be patient with him. You're going to lose games, but let them learn on the field. They grow very fast in the NFL. You look at someone like quarterback in Jacksonville, drawing a blank for some odd reason. Help me out.
Bortles.
Yeah, my boy. For some reason I was thinking Blaine Gabbert there. I know he's in San Francisco now, but Blake Bortles. You look at him. If the Jaguars would have pulled the or pushed the terminate button on him right away, I mean, damn, he's turned into a pretty good quarterback. So give him time, let him learn, let him make mistakes, let him learn from his mistakes. But whoever the quarterback is you guys draft, I would not let him touch the field first year at all. But yeah, I mean, not much else news going on in the Browns organization, which is actually a good thing for you guys with all the craziness that's been going on. Johnny Manziel, we haven't heard much of him. Pretty good for you guys. I mean, I'm sure your head coach. What's that?
Or Billy Manziel, for that matter. Haven't heard much from him this week either.
That's also probably a good thing. But looks like you guys are probably going to announce a head coach within the next week. I would be shocked if it's not before the end of this week. But I'm going to guess it's probably Hue Jackson. That's a great signing for you guys if it is, if the ownership gives them enough time. But anything else to add on your Brownsy?
No, just take it day by day. Like you said, I think it would be a good hire as long as we give him time. There's a lot of stuff to fix in Cleveland. It's kind of, I don't know, I guess you could kind of draw a comparison to the Cincinnati Reds. It's nothing's going to get fixed overnight. Fans and the ownership, like you said, they have to be in it for the long haul, and they have to be patient more than anything else.
Yeah, and I would love to sit and talk about the Browns because it would avoid having to move on and talking about my fucking Cincinnati Bengals. They absolutely broke my heart again in the playoffs. You guys are blowing up my phone. You guys are blowing up our Twitter and our Facebook and everything, asking questions, and I'm going to get to all of that. I'm going to let Ian recap this game. I'll recap the game. I'm going to let Ian talk about it first, and then I'm going to talk about everything that drove me nuts with this game. Bengals fans, Bengals haters, you're going to love what I have to say because I always keep it real with you guys, and I'm going to keep it real again. For those of you who didn't watch the game, the Bengals pissed down their leg again in the playoffs. Yes, they had a backup quarterback, A.J. McCarron, who looked like absolute shit in the first half. Raining, monsoon, and Hue Jackson decides to come out and throw the ball 41 times with his backup quarterback instead of running the football. Terrible. McCarron, like I said, threw the ball 41 times. He had interception in the first half that set up a stupid field goal that they shouldn't have got points off of. Defense was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, if I could, I would give them a standing ovation. I would go into that locker room and just absolutely pat every one of them on the shoulder pads. They were phenomenal. They kept us in the game. Offense looked like shit. They just pissed down their leg again. Refereeing was absolutely horrible. That's not the reason we lost, but it was horrible. I don't know. This is another terrible game. Ian, I'm going to let you talk about it first and then let myself cool down, and then here we go. Go ahead.
To echo everything you said, it was a poorly officiated game. Prime time. The Bengals have struggled over the years, and a lot of that flack has gone on to Andy Dalton's back, but Andy was not the reason, or he couldn't be the reason to blame for this game. Andy's been out with a thumb injury, and like you said, A.J. McCarron took over. Did play poorly in the first half, came back in the second half, played okay. Two big stats that you look at in a football game, and you can usually tell the winner of the game, is if you look at time of possession and first downs. And these were fairly even. The only glaring thing that you look at is the turnover battle. Bengals did have 4 turnovers. Ultimately, the last one was the most costliest. The Steelers had 2 turnovers, and the Steelers did outgain the Bengals by 90 yards. Penalties, the refereeing absolutely god-awful. Steelers did have more penalties, more penalty yards, but again, like the turnover.
Hold up, real quick. Let me chime in there. They did have more penalty yards, but one of them was on a BS 30-yard pass interference call. So if you take that away, or it was like 30 or 40-yard pass interference, you take that away, we had more penalty yards. Continue.
I'll buy that because the game altogether was poorly officiated. But just like the turnovers coming at the most untimely, coming at the most costliest of times, the Bengals had the most untimely penalties in that game, or so-called penalties at least. I know Bengals fans are hurting right now. I don't want to say factory of sadness. That's our slogan up in the lake. But, I mean, it's rough. I mean –
no, the factory of sadness is this the heart of it all. This Ohio, the whole state of Ohio is the factory of sadness every fucking year. The Browns fans, I had so many people complaining. I'm going to my rant. I'm sorry I'm cutting you off. But
go for it.
So many Bengals fans complaining, saying they want to be Browns fans. Shut the hell up. You do not want to be a Browns fan. No offense. I'm not dogging Browns fans. I have love for you guys. I'm just saying, do you know how much Browns fans would rather flip-flop with us and us be picking second in the draft every year and them losing in the playoffs? They would love it. They would love it. So don't sit here and say that you want to be 3-13 because that sucks. We've done that. We got out of that basement, thankfully. That sucks. You can ask Ian. You can ask anyone else who's a Browns fan. That sucks. Yet they still sell out their games. Fast forward to the Bengals Saturday night. Super excited. Like I said, on an absolute emotional high. Asked the love of my life to marry me. Ready for the game. I was not worried one bit. And we played better than them the whole game. We gave them points the whole game. Like I said, A.J. McCarron threw that pick deep into quadruple coverage. The guy for the Steelers runs it back. They get a cheap field goal out of it. That's 3 points. Next up, they drove down the field right before half, I do believe. Ben Roethlisberger throws the ball right in the middle of the field, hits Vinny Ray right in the hands, linebacker for the Bengals, drops it. Steelers settle for 3 more points. That's 6 points. So for those of you keeping track at home, we lost by 2. 6 points that shouldn't have been given up. And then the bullshit Martavis Bryant touchdown, which what the hell is a catch in the NFL? Roger Goodell, I hope you by some chance watch this. I want to let you know this is the worst year of the NFL ever. Your refs were terrible. You're a disgrace. You went on a witch hunt after Tom Brady for some bullshit that didn't even happen. And your refs are scared to make a call. They're throwing penalties left and right on stupid stuff. That was not a catch by Martavis Bryant. If Dez Bryant and Calvin Johnson's catches weren't catches, that's not a catch. He didn't have possession of the ball until he was somersaulting out of the end zone. It was pinned up against one leg. He had 1 foot on the ground. No way is that a catch. There's no way. So that's 6 more points. That's 12 points right there. But the Bengals kept fighting, thankfully. We come back. Vontaze Burfict, who is a dirty player. He is. And I'll admit it. I'm a Bengals fan. He is an absolute dirty player. And all you Browns fans and Steelers fans chirping me, I don't deny he's a dirty player. But you know what? Vontaze Burfict kept us in that fucking game. You got that interception. He was all over the field. He made that big sack on Ben, which was a clean hit. Anyone who wants to argue that is crazy. That was a clean hit. Burfict kept us in the game. He's kept us in games all year. He's nuts. And you know what? The Bengals for years lacked a killer instinct. Vontaze Burfict and Adam Pac-Man Jones bring a killer instinct. Burfict is a dirty player, but you can look on every team in the league. Rodney Harrison is a Hall of Famer. He is one of the dirtiest players of all time. Yet he was always praised for his hits and his trash talking and all that. He's one of the dirtiest players of all time for the Patriots. So anyone who wants to sit here and dog Burfict, you're insane if you don't want to re-sign him. And we have questions on that, and I'll get to that in a minute. Burfict, Jones kept us in the game. Adam Jones has been the heartbeat of this team for years. Anytime you need a big punt return, kick return, he's there. And he was there Saturday night. He had a huge return, set us up, which led to the A.J. McCarron touchdown. But back to my point, Bengals fought back second half. McCarron did enough to keep us in the game. So kudos to him. I dogged him the whole first half. He looked like shit. Second half, he came out and he drove us down the field, put points on the board. So kudos to a rookie quarterback, short notice. He played very well. Came out, threw that touchdown to A.J. Green. And when he threw that to A.J. Green, I swear to God, I blacked out. Ian, I can't tell you the joy that ran through my body when A.J. Green stretched that ball over the goal line. It was amazing. It was euphoric. I lost it. That was awesome. And then next possession, Burfict intercepts that ball, and it was the most joy I've ever felt. I don't do drugs, but I imagine that's what it was like. Absolutely insane. And as the Bengals are coming back out on the field, lining up, I was screaming at the TV, why are they not in a victory formation? Why are they not taking a knee here? And everybody's like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. And then we hand the ball off to the one guy who's been fumble prone all year, Jeremy Hill. He tries to lay an extra hard hit on Ryan Shazier, who I'll come back to that punk. Hill fumbles, gets stripped. And then the rest is history. Steelers drive down the field. It's a couple bullshit calls later, and the Steelers hit a game-winning field goal. Now, the refereeing in this game, like me and Ian said, it was awful all around. Bengals had some bad calls on them, and the Steelers had bad calls on them. So I'm not going to sit here and say it was all against the Bengals. It was bad on both ends. Steelers are classless as hell, though. I mean, I'm sorry. Mike Munchak started with that, him pulling Reggie Nelson's hair, which was weird. That was so weird. That was weird. Joey Porter's a punk. I know I saw the picture of all the Bengals coaches on the field, but that was after a fight had already broken out. So everyone who posted that, you look into your facts. Joey Porter's a punk. He shouldn't have been on the field. I don't know if you heard Adam Jones's interview on the Dan Patrick Show. Basically, Dan asked him what happened? Walk me through that. So he said whenever Burfict hit Antonio Brown, which real quick, do you think that was an illegal hit, Ian?
I don't think it was an illegal hit because he got him with the shoulder. But I don't know what I don't know what the rule is.
Quick, fast speed, I'm throwing that flag all day if I'm a ref.
I am throwing that flag.
I'm throwing that flag all day. That's why I've said over and over, those kind of hits should be reviewable. They should be reviewable, especially late in a game like that. But anyways, after the hit on Burfict, which he led with his shoulder, and Pac-Man or Adam Jones went over to Antonio Brown and asked him, hey, 84, are you all right? He said Antonio Brown winked at him, smiled, and ran off the field. At this time, Joey Porter was on the field, and Adam Jones reached over a ref and said, what's he doing on the field? The ref looked at him and said, shut the hell up, threw a flag, and threw the flag for making contact with the referee. Now, that's insane if that's true. Obviously, we weren't on the field. That's absolutely insane because Joey Porter being on the field, that's a 15-yard penalty on the ref. No refs allowed on the field. He's a defensive line coach, by the way, which is why was he on the field? He's not even a wide receivers coach. Joey Porter's on the field. Should have been a 15-yard flag. That would offset the penalties with Burfict and Pac-Man Jones. Steelers are now sitting on the 50-yard line. 18 seconds left in the game. No timeouts. Bengals win that game, in my opinion. Terrible refereeing to cost at the end of the game. Just heartbreaking. only the Bengals could lose that game. Oh, I mean, there's no other team that could lose that game. It was awful. It was awful, Ian. I got some other things to say, and I got some questions to answer, but it was just awful, man. It was awful. And Ryan Shazier, I said I'd come back to him. How the fuck was that not a helmet to helmet? How was that not helmet to helmet, Ian? You as a football fan. I mean, you're not a Bengals fan. How was that not helmet to helmet?
It's brutal, man. Like you brought up with the perfect hit. You know, that's a flag every time. You got to be able to review it. There has not been a more blatantly obvious penalty than that one right there. And then for them to get the football out of it with the fumble, ridiculous.
And whenever the Bengals training staff was out on the field checking on Gio, there's a vine of Shazier. There's a couple Bengals fans that were at the game recorded it. Shazier and some other players celebrated on the 50-yard line dancing. And Gio's laying knocked out on the field. Ridiculous. Just absolutely bullshit. Classless organization. I say it year in and year out. They get away with stuff that other teams don't. You can go every game. David DeCastro's a punk. He gets on the bottom of those piles and he's poking people's eyes and stuff. Yeah, it's a chippy sport. It's a rival. I get that. They're punks. They get away with stuff week in and week out. They always have, and they always will. And I don't know why. And I don't know why they don't get media coverage. Like, if the Bengals win that game, nobody's talking about the Bengals and those dirty hits. Nobody's talking about Marvin Lewis. Nobody's talking about any of this. It's insane. The Steelers lose that game. Do they talk about the Steelers? Was that a dirty hit on Shazier if the Steelers lose? No, they don't. They probably say, Big Ben just couldn't get it done. You know, he was hurt. They were really banged up. D'Angelo Williams got hurt. Antonio Brown's knocked up or got knocked out. Then you don't hear a negative thing about the Steelers. And it drives me nuts. The media is so biased. It's insane. But Bengals fans, that was heartbreaking. It's just a heartbreaking loss, man. And it's so tough. We got a few questions, and I don't really even want to answer them and talk about them, but I'm going to because I love you all. All right. First question from Mr. Derek Bolin. He wants to know, tell us why Marvin Lewis deserves to keep his job, which is a hot take right now. And do you think we can keep all our free agents? We have a couple free agent questions, so I'll get to that one in a minute. Tell us why Marvin Lewis deserves to keep his job. Do you want me to go first, D, or do you want to crack it?
Let me interject because I want to build off that question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not gonna give my opinion on Marvin, but I want to interject and add to it. Making the playoffs is an astounding feat in itself, especially over several consecutive years like the Bengals have done. Now, if you look at my team in Cleveland, all the talking heads, fans of other teams, they always say, well, another losing season, or you didn't rise to the occasion. You have to get rid of blank, whether it be a quarterback, a coach, a coordinator. You got to change it up. Now, they say because they don't see the results. And you know what? I'm not going to make excuses. Cleveland doesn't produce results. But with that way of thinking, let me ask you, is it not insane to continue to do the same thing over and over but expect different results? Jared, you know me. I'm not a Marvin Lewis hater. He's 0-7 in the playoffs. This team wins in the season for him, but they can't get it done in the playoffs. Is it time to allow Marvin to ascend into the general manager position and bring in a new head coach to see if the Bengals can get their monkey off their back in the playoffs?
Well, let me preface this. That is the definition of insanity, by the way, what you just said. But let me preface this with anyone who knows me, like Ian said, he's not a Marvin Lewis hater. I absolutely love the guy. Dug the Bengals out of the dumpster when he took over. I've said it over and over. They were voted the worst sports franchise in North America. Marvin dug them out, built us up through the draft with the help of Duke Tobin, the GM of the Bengals. But just absolutely been a great coach. However, 0-7 in the playoffs is insane. Ian, you're a teacher. If you had 7 years of students failing each year, your class, more than half of the students, let's say, fail the class each year, your job is going to come to you and say, Ian, man, we like you. You're a good guy, but if we just got to part ways, man, you're not getting the job done for us. My job, you go to any person's job, you work in a factory and 7 weeks in a row, you mess up and break something or something like that, they're going to fire you. It's a business. I love Marvin. I've said over and over, he's been a great coach. I don't think that he's lost control of the locker room, by the way. That bogus report came out from ESPN, who loves to throw out bogus stuff all the time. I'm calling him out on it. However, it is time for the Bengals to part ways with Marvin Lewis. He's taken this team as far as he can take them. I don't know who their next head coaching candidate will be. My personal opinion, they've told Paul Guenther they're not going to fire Marvin, guys. It's not going to happen. His contract's up in 2016. They would owe him about a little over $4 million if they let him go. And Mike Brown's a tightwad. He's not going to lose money. Marvin's made him a lot of money, so he's going to be respectful to him. Marvin will be the coach next year. His contract's up after that season, and then Paul Guenther will take over the team. I think they've told Paul Guenther, he's been great for the Bengals. I think they've told him, look, stay with us this year. You're going to take the reins next year. And I think that's what will happen. But Derek, to answer your question, tell us why he should keep the job. I personally don't believe he should. But, he's taken the Bengals to the playoffs 7 years. The players respect him. He's continuity of the team. I don't know. It's kind of hard to defend Marvin anymore. It really is, because the Bengals have the best roster in the NFL. And if you're not a Bengals fan, you know you're going to agree with that. You may say a healthy Patriots team, but the Bengals are right there with them. If they're not one, they're two, definitely. And there's no reason that this team – I know Andy Dalton got hurt. I get that. But that defense was good enough to get them to get them a win on Saturday. And they should have beat Denver. They should have beat the Texans Monday Night Football. They should have won these primetime games that Marvin has had trouble winning in. If they win those games, they're sitting in a first-round bye, and you've got the possibility of Andy Dalton to come back. So Marvin has struggled year in and year out in primetime games. He struggles with the Steelers. He struggles in the playoffs. And those are three bugaboos with Bengals fans that it just has to be solved. It's time to part ways and see what else we can do. I love Marvin. And I think that Bengals fans, once he's gone, will really respect what he did for the franchise. But it's time to part ways. It's time to move on. But, Derek, sir, thank you for the question. A couple other questions. We got some free agency questions. So, real quick, Bengals are going to have 15 free agents this summer. Team not only is going to get ripped apart, coach is leaving. Hue Jackson is probably going to go. They got Vance Joseph, their defensive back coach, and their linebacker coach. Both of them left. Vance Joseph took the defensive coordinator job in Miami, and the linebacker coach followed him. They're going to have 15 free agents, and they're not going to be able to re-sign all of them. So here is the list of Bengals free agents. We have Leon Hall, Andre Smith, Reggie Nelson, Vinny Ray, Adam Pac-Man Jones, Emmanuel Lemure, Wallace Gilberry, Mohamed Sanu, Georgia Loca, Eric Winston, Brandon Thompson, Marvin Jones, Brandon Tate, Pat Sims, and TJ Johnson. So a lot of big-name players on that list. If you're a Bengals fan, you know it's going to be a pretty rough offseason for us. But we do have some questions in regards to that. One from Derek Bolin. Second question, he wants to know, do you think we can keep all our free agents? He says he thinks Cincy could fall to 7-9 or 8-8 if they aren't careful. And Ricky Barker also has a free agency question. He wants to know who are the must-keeps in free agency for the Bengals. Now, Ian, I'm guessing you don't know much about this. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you 5 that I think the Bengals must sign. Number 1, wide receiver Marvin Jones. He's a huge playmaker for the Bengals. They can get him pretty cheap. They need someone to go along with A.J. Green, so he's a huge sign for me. 2, Adam Pac-Man Jones, heart and soul of the team. Defensively, they're going to get him for a vet minimum. I love Pac-Man. I think he should stay in Cincinnati, and he had a great year this year. 3, Georgia Loca, free safety. They need to. He's been a great player for the Bengals. They're going to get him cheap, and I think they need to shore up that safety spot. 4, Mohamed Sanu, another wide receiver. Keep Andy Dalton with weapons. We saw this year how good he was when he had all his weapons healthy. So they can get Sanu cheap, in my opinion. 5, I would re-sign Reggie Nelson just because he had a great year this year, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down. Depending on how bad his injury is that he suffered in Saturday's game, but I like Reggie Nelson. I don't think they're going to be able to re-sign Andre Smith. I think he's gone. I'd love for him to re-sign Vinny Ray. Wallace Gilberry would be nice. But other than that, I don't know. Those 5 are the 5 I think that we should re-sign. And Ken Rice wanted to know as well, do you think we'll keep Burfict and Jones? Burfict, they're not going to let him go. His contract, he signed a 4-year deal, so he's there. I don't think they're going to let him go. And Pac-Man, I think they will keep him. I hope. He's a great player. But thank you, Ken, Ricky, and Derek for the questions. And real quick, Ricky had a second question regarding your Brownsy. Real quick question. Who is your dream coach for the Browns?
Vince Lombardi.
Vince Lombardi. Great. I would probably go Belichick. I think he's better coach than – or you can go me. I did win multiple fantasy football championships. I don't know.
Moving along.
All right. But, yeah, that's really all I got to say about the Bengals. Just tough loss. Probably the most – out of every team I root for, that's the most heartbreaking loss I've ever witnessed. Definitely the worst as a Bengals fan. I know it's got a lot of you Bengals fans down and a lot of people just heartbroken by it. But just keep your head high and let's build in the draft and keep getting better. So next year's our year, baby. That's what I'm talking about. But let's recap our NFL picks from last week. E, want to recap this?
Yeah, after the wild card round of the NFL playoffs, Chris took the week last week. He's up to 10 weekly wins. Jared, you finished second. I came in at last again for what seems like the third consecutive year. But right now, as it stands, Chris has 10 weekly wins. Jared, you have 8. You can still catch him.
Got to win this week, and I got to win next week. And then it'll come down to the Super Bowl where obviously we pick the winner, and then we pick points as well for a tiebreaker. So, Chris, this is a do or die time, baby. All right, E's pretty much eliminated, but we're still going to let him give you his picks of the week as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, just let you chime in on this. So, Ian, are you ready, sir?
Let's do it, brother.
All right, first game, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, who are red hot right now, on the road taking on the New England Patriots. This hurts for me because that's where the Bengals should have been. Chris took the Patriots. Ian, who are you taking, sir?
It's tough to go against New England in the playoffs at home. Kansas City's the hottest team in football right now, but I don't care if they're the hottest football team of all time. You're still going up against Bill Belichick in the playoffs on his home field. I'm going the Pats.
Yeah, Pats have lost 4 of their last 6, which is kind of concerning, I'm sure, if you're a Patriots fan. But I don't think they really care. All they care about is the playoffs. Chiefs are red hot right now. Andy Reid has done a fantastic job. He's probably coach of the year, in my opinion, if not Mike Zimmer. Andy Reid's done a fantastic job. But the thing that hurts the Chiefs is Macklin looks like he's probably going to be out with. Thank God it wasn't a knee injury. It was a high ankle sprain. Bad news for the Chiefs. Julian Edelman looks like he's fully 100%. You got 100% Gronk. Bill Belichick at home, he takes away what you're good at, and he's going to take away Travis Kelce. I'm taking the Patriots as well in this one. Next game, we have the Green Bay Packers on the road. If you follow me on Twitter, I was a diehard Minnesota Vikings fan until Blair Walsh missed that field goal, and now I'm a diehard honorary Packers fan. So go Cheeseheads in this one, I guess. But all right, we got the Packers on the road taking on the Cardinals. E, your Bird Gang. Chris took the Cards. Who are you taking in this one, sir?
Sticking with my Bird Gang. Carson Palmer and the boys are going to get it done out in the desert at home. You can mark it down.
Yeah. Now, I did say I'm an honorary Packers fan. I'm a diehard fan. However, I have to win this week. I'm taking the Cardinals at home on this one. Red hot. Carson Palmer has had a great year. At least, hopefully, he can get his first playoff win. And also, Aaron Rodgers. I saw you asked Miss Olivia Munn to marry you. A little close to my engagement. What's your angle, buddy? I think it's sticky. That was a little Office reference. I'm taking the Cardinals in this one. Next game, we have the Seahawks on the road taking on the Panthers. Chris took the Panthers at home. Ian, sir, who are you taking in this one?
Carolina was the last undefeated team to go down this season. They figured it out the following week, which was the last week of the season. Cam Newton looking like he's going to end up winning the MVP award probably this year. They've had a phenomenal season, but I think it comes to an end on Sunday. Seahawks have been there. It's tough to go against them in the playoffs. I know they're playing in Carolina. Russell Wilson's playing great football. I think Seattle's hot enough to go in there and overtake the Panthers. I'm going to take Seattle this week.
Yeah, I'm taking the Seahawks. I picked them to win the Super Bowl in the beginning of the year, and I'm going to stick by it. I'm going to take the Seahawks on the road. Plus, I got to shake things up if I want to beat Chris. So I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one. It's going to be a tough game. I really, heart of hearts, if I'm betting on the Panthers, but I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one. Next game, we have the Pittsburgh Cheaters on the road taking on the Denver Broncos. Chris took the Broncos in that game. Ian, who are you taking, sir?
Steelers or Cheaters, whatever you want to call them, they are banged up. I think Saturday night's game took a lot out of them. Broncos coming off a full week of rest, being prepared for them. I like the Broncos at home. I think Osweiler, Peyton, whoever they put in at quarterback gets it done.
Yeah, I'm taking the Broncos. I won't ever take Pittsburgh, so I'm taking the Broncos in this one. Hopefully Peyton, whoever it is, Osweiler, I don't care. Just get a win. Knock them out of the playoffs, please. Looks like Roethlisberger's going to play. Antonio Brown miraculously is out of concussion protocol, which is crazy. He's going to play. And D'Angelo Williams looks like he's out. So I'm going to take the Broncos in this one and hope for a win. And I actually heard that the Holy Grail downtown is actually turning into a Broncos bar this week. So if you're a Broncos fan, you want to watch a game with a ton of other honorary Broncos fans who may be wearing orange and black, go down to the Holy Grails across from Great American Ballpark. But that's our NFL Weekly Picks. Hopefully, Chris, I can catch you, sir. And for those who are maybe wondering, Chris is not with us. His wife is having another baby, so he has got his hands full. He's already got a couple kids. So that's why he hasn't been with us the past few weeks, but he's still a loyal member of our team. So, Chris, we miss you, buddy. Hopefully you come back soon. But that's our picks of the week. We always end the show with our bold prediction for this upcoming week. Ian, what is your bold prediction, sir?
My bold prediction this week is that by this time next week, Hue Jackson will be the head coach of my Cleveland Browns.
That's a pretty bold prediction, I guess. I think it's going to happen. It's pretty locked in stone. My bold prediction, after I win the Powerball tomorrow, I will be the proud owner of my Columbus Crew. And I will still have plenty of money in the bank, so I will bring over Leo Messi, and we will run the MLS. That is my bold prediction. I hope to see you all at my stadium in Columbus. May relocate down to Cincinnati. I don't know. We'll see. I got all the money in the world. I may pull Stan Kroenke and move my Columbus Crew a couple miles down the road. But that's my bold prediction. That's our show, episode 15. Short one for us this week, E.
Yeah, not much going on in Ohio right now, and it was a rough weekend for us, brother, especially you guys.
Really rough. Glad to get that out of the way. I was kind of dreading this show because I didn't want to talk about it again and bring it back up. I'm on to the draft. So I'm on to college hoops, on to college hoops pretty much, and NBA. So hopefully we can have an NHL for that matter as well, because everybody knows I'm a big NHL guy. But thank you for everyone who continues to read our stuff and tune in. You guys are awesome. Check this video out on YouTube. If you like it, give it a thumbs up on YouTube. We'd really appreciate that. Check out our website, ohsportsradio.com. We are currently looking for new writers. So if you or anyone you know has an interest in writing about your favorite Ohio sports teams, we're looking for people. Get a hold of us. You can join me and Ian on this awesome show. You can be a part of this. We're looking for everyone. We're still doing Confessions of an Ohio Sports Fan. So if you have a story, a team, a memory, anything that goes on with the team, send it to us. We'll post it. We'd love to see your story, hear your stories about your favorite team. We have them. We're going to do ours. So we hope to get we have a bunch of those actually in our mailbox. I got to get on that, D. I'm sorry. But, yeah, guys, we're looking for your stories, looking for new writers. Like I said, check out our website, ohsportsradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, @Ohio Sports Radio. Like us on Facebook. Just search Ohio Sports Radio. Comment, interact, socialize with us. We love you guys. We love doing this. It's a blast. I have a great time. I look forward to Tuesday nights. I don't know about you, E.
I do, man. Best part of my Tuesday.
Absolutely. You have anything else to add, sir?
I do not. Like Jared's mentioned, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for always supporting us. Keep coming back, checking us out on the website, Twitter. Tweet at us, follow us. Like us on Facebook, interact with us. We love talking to you guys about sports. That's what this whole thing's about, is to interact with you, talk about our favorite teams, talk about the teams that make us drink, talk about the teams that cause us to have probably early liver failure in our 40s. So it's all about you guys. It's all about our sports teams. It's all about Ohio.
Absolutely, man. I love it. But thank you guys again. Can't thank you guys enough. You guys are the absolute best. So if you like this video, if you like what me and E are doing, and Chris and Jeremy and everyone else, give us a thumbs up. Check out our website, ohsportsradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Ohio Sports Radio, and like us on Facebook. We appreciate it. We love you guys. We'll see you next week, back with episode 16 of the Ohio Sports Radio Show. Ian, Hue Day, always and forever. Bengals fans, don't forget the words. Hue Day. We'll be back next year. Got anything, E?
Go Reds. Go Reds.
Go Reds, absolutely. Hue Day. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.